All right. Hello, everyone. I am live streaming through Zoom, so I'm going to give it just a quick second to load up for me here as we're going live today to talk about the one and done system and how we leverage holistic client acquisition to scale your business to 50K, 100K, 250K months I've had clients hit. So as you're hopping on live or on the replay, say hello, let me know that you are here. And we're going to jump right in because what I really want to talk to you guys about today is something that just before getting on this live, I did a quick scroll on Facebook. And even in the few minutes that I was scrolling, I automatically was bombarded with how many different things that I need to do, right? And I know that you experience the same thing, trying to understand what strategies and what pieces of the puzzle do you need to successfully grow and scale your business to that 50K, 100K and beyond space in your business. And I know you're being told everything and anything around on the internet, and I'm going to break down exactly what I mean by this and why I'm not here to throw straws at all the things that are out there. But I do want you to understand that leveraging a holistic approach to client acquisition is the reason my clients are able to create the success that they have. That's not only creating fast results, but also creating long-term sustainable results. So this is the exact shift that I'm going to break down for you that has allowed myself and my clients to quit live launching and develop an evergreen system to consistently attract, nurture, and convert high intent clients. And I'll explain why that's so important. How my clients and I have been able to hit 50, 100. I've had clients hit 250K and beyond a month with just one simple and strategic system, and why this one simple and strategic system is actually able to replace everything else that you're doing, and how my clients and I have been able to quit complicated and ever-changing marketing tactics. I'm talking about dancing on TikToks and trying to navigate how to use LinkedIn and trying to learn every next new tactic that's out there. I'm going to break down how you can actually fast track your success with a sustainable system that looks at your client acquisition holistically to get better results faster, okay? So if you're new here and you don't know me, my name is Nazla Chavari. I'm a business growth strategist and 18-year marketing expert. I help coaches, consultants, and healers convert high-intent clients into premium paying, or high-intent leads into premium paying clients in just 7 days using my next Netflix-inspired sales system. So let's jump right into it and talk about why you probably are fixing the wrong thing in your business and how you can actually acquire clients by focusing on the right thing. So here's the deal. I know I told you I don't want to just throw straws, but I want to be realistic, okay? I know that you are hearing that everyone's selling the thing that they do as a solution to your problem. I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to sell you the solution that nothing else will work, because that would be totally a huge freaking lie. Okay. I've been in marketing for almost 19 years now. And what I'm going to tell you is a lot of things freaking work, but you're also hearing things like you need to be running ads. You need to be on TikTok. You need to create a webinar. You need to hire an appointment setter. And when you're at a point of scaling your business, it gets freaking exhausting when you have so many things. Hey, Corey. Hey, Shane. It gets exhausting to try and figure out which things you actually need in your business in order to achieve the goals that you have. And trust me when I say I know it. There's so much stuff out there, and all of those things aren't inherently wrong, right? I'm not here to tell you that a webinar is wrong and an ad is wrong and hiring an appointment setter is wrong. They're all really freaking important things. But here's where I need to get real with you. You can have all the perfect pieces, but if those perfect pieces don't fit together, you're left with a Frankenstein strategy that doesn't produce the level of results or for the length of time, the results that you want, meaning that you're maybe going to get results for a short period of time, but then you're going to look back and you're going to say, what the hell happened? Right? I've had people who come to me and they're like, Naz, I learned a launch strategy. It worked until it didn't work, or it worked until I was burnt out by it. And people get into this habit of feeling like they have to fill this hole of needing to fix one piece of the client acquisition strategy, right? So the truth of the matter is, again, all the perfect pieces, if they don't actually fit together, they don't synergize together, you have a Frankenstein strategy that doesn't produce the results you want, and you're stuck trying to keep fixing the wrong pieces, okay? I use the example of I had a friend of mine who came to me and she had bought a house several years ago and she was constantly hiring a handyman. So month after month, she was hiring the handyman to come into her home and fix one thing after another as those things broke, okay? Hands up if that's ever been you, right? Whether that's in your business or anywhere else. Hey, Yenny, I'm so glad you're here live. If you want to shut off by the everyone notifications, by the way, you guys can definitely search for that, or definitely feel free to leave the group. My goal here is never to inundate you with stuff. I know there's a lot going on the internet. I want this to be a place that you enjoy. So again, if you feel that way, go ahead and just, exit the group. I'm totally okay with that. All right, back to what we were talking about here. So what I want to talk about when it comes to this is understanding the concept of knowing how all of those pieces fit together, because singular pieces of client acquisition, like me fixing my lead problem or me fixing my conversion issue, all of those things are important, but if they're not actually working together, then they're actually secondary to having the strategy that makes each piece work and work together, okay? And I know this because I know so many people over the last 18 years in marketing have done this. They've been taught to fix one piece after the other. So my friend who had a handyman come in, constantly had someone come in to fix a problem as it arose. So the toilet broke, she brought in the handyman. If she had an issue with her tile, she brought in the handyman, right? We bring in people to fix the pieces as they happen. This is exactly what happens in business. We become the handyman. We fix the pieces as they break in our business, but the problem then arises that now we're stuck in a space of triage, meaning that we're fixing problems as they come in rather than working strategically and solving for the bigger problem and getting the results we want. So if you become the handyman in your business, it means you're fixing problems as they arise in your business, which means that you're not actually working through the strategy and creating the results that you want in the way that you want. So it's a broken system to doing that. So what I want to break down now for you is the 4 pieces of client acquisitions that actually allows you to synergize and allows you to reach those goals in your business in half the time. So there's 4 key pieces of client acquisition, okay? How we attract people, how we nurture people, how you convert people, and how you retain people, okay? 4 things. Drop 4 if you guys understand that. It's 4 things. I don't care who you are, what business you are. Those 4 things remain true at any level of business you're in. It's how you attract people, how you nurture people, how you convert people, and how you retain people, okay? Knowing those 4 things means that you can run a successful, predictable business and do it over and over and over again, okay? Without those 4 things, one piece of the puzzle will always be broken, okay? So if you have an attraction strategy, but you don't have a conversion strategy, it won't work. And here's what I'm going to get to. Even if you have an attraction strategy and a conversion strategy, but those things don't play nice together, it's always going to feel like you're the handyman and you're fixing the broken pieces as they happen. Okay. So I want to give you a quick story. I had a client of mine who she came to me. She had a group of about 2,000 people on Facebook and she was hitting $15,000 months, right? Great. She was doing well, but she was unsatisfied with her results. So the first thing that we did is we looked at her client acquisition. We looked at what is it that she was doing right now. We realized that she was a rock star at generating traffic. So she was pushing everyone that she met to her group. It was an easy system for her to just push people to her group. Once people got into her group, they kind of just hung out, right? We talked about, well, what happens? How do we actually get them to convert? And her answer was, I don't know. I just go live every week and I create content. There was no real strategy behind what happened once people got there. So I'm going to say this, and a lot of people, it's going to piss some people off. Lead generation isn't hard. Nurture isn't hard. Conversion isn't hard. None of those pieces singularly are difficult. But knowing how to get them to actually work together, to synergize, to actually produce the result you want and do it at the speed that you want is where things get freaking tricky. Because you could generate leads in your sleep. That could be easy, right? You can do a lot of different tactics that generate leads. The problem is, great, you just got 500 new followers on TikTok. What's going to happen to convert them? It's going to make you feel good in that moment, but what are we going to do to convert them, right? How do we actually take those people and make them move into, hi, yeah, I want to work with you. So that's what she was doing. She was a rock star at generating traffic, at moving people to her space. But when they got there, they just hung out. So what we saw is we saw the opportunity, knowing that she leveraged her Facebook group, since it was already working for her to drive traffic to that, there was no problem. That part of the system was fine. We looked at how we could optimize every piece thereafter to actually produce the results she want, which was a conversion, right? So in her case, what we did is we quickly seized the opportunity of shifting the membership questions, which meant that as soon as people were joining into her Facebook group, we had people already preconditioned to say yes, because they were now raising their hands if they wanted additional information so that she can move those people along, okay? I talk a lot about high intent clients. I'm not going to do that here now because I could go off for a long time, but if you want to learn about high intent clients, drop intent and we'll follow up with the training that we've done previously on this. But the whole goal was that she wanted to take the people who were already raising her hand their hands and had built the momentum of saying, okay, this is something I'm interested in. I want to learn more, right? We know that that's how people operate. They're interested in something, they come into your world, they're excited, and maybe they lose some of that excitement, right? So when people were coming in, she was monetizing on people already being excited. So we shifted her membership questions so that people were raising their hands quickly. But then what we did is we wanted to build on that yes momentum and strategically move people through so that rather than having people come sit on an email list, sit on a Facebook group, hang out in a space, which is what I call parking leads, we wanted to actually move them through. So what we did is we deliberately created 3 pieces of content that created that instant buy-in. Because what you want to be able to do is say, if someone comes into your world, how do I instantly get them to decide whether or not they should be there with me or they should not be there with me? Okay. So I want you guys to understand, just like you saw in here, there's going to be some people who get pissed off if you are creating something. That's okay. We want to repel those people just like we want to magnetize the right people. So our goal when we're doing this is if someone comes into your world and gets introduced to you, how can they get a big enough dose of you to decide whether or not you're worth their time or not? Because it's a waste of their time and your time if they're coming into your world and they don't care about what you're doing. They're not interested in moving along. We want to give them that opportunity to make that decision quickly rather than being funneled into a space like an email list or your Facebook group or a space and not feel like they know why they're there or whether or not you're worth their time. Because guess what? If they can't make that decision almost instantaneously, then they're most likely moving towards the fact that this person is okay. They're kind of worth my time. If I see them, it might be great. They're not making a conscious effort to come towards you. Okay, drop yes if this is making sense so far and you guys understand the concept of the fact that we want to be able to leverage people's momentum as they're coming into your world and how to actually build on that momentum so that people can create buy-in, whether that's a yes or no from the very beginning. So with her, what we ended up doing is we built that momentum and strategically moved people through those 3 pieces of content that we created instant buy-in. We finished it off with another hand-raising opportunity at the very end so that when people were coming in, they're going through this. If they were raising their hands from the very beginning, awesome, then we moved them on a different track, as I call it. But if someone wasn't raising their hand immediately, great, we brought them in, we let them get indoctrinated and see whether or not that they thought there was buy-in to what they were doing. And then at that point, if they said, yeah, oh my gosh, I just got indoctrinated, I get this is exactly what I wanted, we've conditioned them to a space of saying, oh my gosh, this is what I want. So then from there, we created an opportunity for them to raise their hands. So what this allowed her to do, because we took her out of having a disjointed strategy, which meant, oh my gosh, she was amazing at driving traffic, but it didn't actually move people to the yes, then you're actually putting people in a space of feeling exhausted because they're not ready to make a decision, or they were ready to make a decision, but you didn't put it in front of them and they could. I see this all the time. A disjointed strategy doesn't support and guide people. So therefore now decision-making becomes exhausting because they have to dig, they have to do the work and they feel frustrated, okay? So what we did is we actually looked at how long it was taking for her conversions. So typical conversions look like 90 to 100 days. That's typical in the industry, right? It takes about 3 to 6 months to convert. Now we flipped the switch where now when people were coming in and we were speaking to high intent people and we understood the process by which they go, now people were converting in 30 days. And this is a short-term strategy. So what I shared with you was what we did on call number 1, because we wanted to make that shift so that she could get immediate results into her business. So increasing the speed and rate of conversions meant that she was no longer spending months in the nurture and convert phase, but more importantly, she could predict where those sales were coming from month after month, and she knew exactly what to do in order to achieve that, okay? That is the very first thing I need you to understand when we talk about synergy between those 4 things. So going back to those 4 things, again, how we attract, how we nurture, how we convert, how you retain, you need to understand that those 4 pieces on their own singular pieces are great. And if I shift it and I say, hey, I'm going to use TikTok to attract, and then I'm going to nurture on my Instagram, and I'm going to convert because I'm going to run a launch every time, and I'm going to retain doing this, all of those pieces aren't working together, which means you're working 4 times as hard because you're taking each strategy and trying to make them fit within each other, okay? That's a lot of work. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have 4 times more work because I don't have a process that actually works together, okay? So what I want to show you is how I leverage what I call connect the dots method that my clients can leverage and myself so that it feels easy to get people to a yes, and it allows you to do it faster. So that same client that I shared with you that we narrowed it down to 30 days, we then took it one step further and leveraged this whole connect the dots process in understanding that everything from the very first impression gets carried all the way to a yes, which means the way that you show up at the very beginning is conditioning your audience to whether or not they're going to buy from you now or 6 months from now. So when we shifted that whole thing, her conversion time now came down to 4 days, okay? Which meant that she went from it taking 90 to 100 days to convert down to 4 days, guys. So I'm going to share my screen real quick so that I can show you what this looked like and how the pieces all fit together. Because at the end of the day, what I want you to understand is if you're feeling frustrated that you're doing pieces and you're like, it's working for a period of time and then it's not, it's most likely because it's disjointed. The dots aren't connecting for you, which means the dots aren't connecting for your audience. They're not moving through and being able to say yes quickly and with high intent. Okay. So let me share my screen. Give me just a minute. I'm going to share this great document that my incredible program designer recently made for inside our program. But I think it's helpful for you to see what it looks like when you actually have an entire process that works together. Sorry for that delay, guys. Okay. So this is how I work with my clients to do it. But what I want you guys to understand is it doesn't matter, right? It matters in you understanding that each piece builds upon the last. Tell me if you guys can see this. I just want to make sure that you guys can see this. I'm trying to open multiple screens. Tell me if you guys can see this on my screen right here that walks through this. I'm gonna give you a second to let me know. Hopefully it works. Tech is not my best friend all the time. All right, we're gonna keep moving because I don't wanna, okay, thank you, Sarah. So if you look at this, this is exactly why I say having a process that actually brings all the pieces together is what's going to allow you to scale with ease without feeling like you're always the handyman fixing one piece of the other, okay? So the very first thing you're gonna see is that your messaging and positioning are the very first thing that matters in your entire client acquisition process. And let's be real, it's usually the thing that people focus on last. It's the last thing they look at. They come back to it when they're like, oh, I'm doing all these other things and it's not working as well. But the reality of it is how you show up, how you message, how you position your offer, yourself, what you're doing is the very first step in client acquisition and retention, because it's the first thing that people get introduced to. So just like you walking into a room, what's the first impression you're making is your messaging and positioning. Okay, so understanding that your messaging and positioning directs who you're attracting into your business and how likely they are to say yes. So a lot of times what I see is people say to me, Naz, I'm doing great. I'm making the sales in my business. The problem is I'm having to wade through a lot of people. So what happens is they're getting a lot of people who say they can't afford it, and they're playing a numbers game. The reason for this is their messaging and their positioning isn't tailored to speaking to high intent clients, and therefore they're attracting maybe a lot of leads, but it's not actually moving in the right direction. And I see this a lot, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I've seen inside of some businesses that are like guru businesses that you see all over the internet. They run without having the right messaging and positioning. So they play the numbers game. They have tons of leads coming in. I'm talking like 800, thousands of leads coming in on a monthly basis in hopes that a small percentage of those convert. Why? Because they haven't nailed their messaging and positioning, and lead generation on its own is easy. It's not a difficult task, but being able to nail and bring in leads that are high intent and want to convert is a different ballgame. Okay. So drop leads if you guys understand where I'm coming from right now. And that the first step in client acquisition always comes down to messaging and position. So what you're going to see here is how we do it. So I talk about innovative authority. I actually help my clients develop methodology. The reason why we do this is rather than you just creating messaging and positioning that like looks like everybody else, sounds like everybody else, and becomes like everybody else, we develop a space in the market where you are now the only solution, because we're actually identifying a gap in the market and solving for that and creating your own methodology. So this looks a little bit different. What typically people do is just messaging and positioning, which means they're going to find a way to like niche down, or they're going to look for a way to like stand out from the crowd. My clients don't do this because that's a really frustrating and hard way to go about business, always having to try and stay top of mind and trying to look different than everyone else. So instead, we leverage methodology where we create innovation. So we actually identify where the gap in the market is. We create your blue ocean and create a methodology that allows you to have the messaging and positioning. But what you're going to see here is understanding how to speak to people, how to identify their needs very quickly, but more importantly, how to position yourself as the solution to them. So niching is one way that people do this. I'm anti-niching. I hate niching. I think antiquate, like an old way of marketing, and being able to create a specific message based on niching. Instead, what I do is I look at how you actually leverage high intent clients and why it's actually more important to speak to people who are at a level of wanting to make decisions versus being like the doctor and being like one very specific small niche that makes you feel really confined. So any questions about the first step of messaging and positioning and why that's the first step in moving people to that next piece? Awesome. You guys have questions, pop them in. I'll come back and answer them afterwards, okay? Because I can't have two screens open. So next step is really that piece that a lot of the freaking internet wants to sell you on. Visibility, lead gen, sales, okay? Super important. I don't want to take away from that. Obviously, I'm a sales assistant girl, so I love this stuff. But what I need you guys to understand is this stuff doesn't work as well without having the messaging and positioning. So you could create an amazing visibility strategy. You could have the best of the best lead gen strategy. You could be spending $5,000 on ads a month, and it could mean that you're still not getting the sales that you want. Okay. And I say this because I've literally helped clients who are doing that. So I would say this with like complete confidence of understanding this. So once you have the messaging positioning, that is literally step number one. Do not pass go. Do not move forward. Do not go and try and build a bunch of other stuff. Because if you go and do an amazing launch, you create these amazing offers, right? Fulfillment, understanding that. You do all these things right, but your messaging and positioning isn't awesome. It's subpar. It makes you look like a lot of other people, and people can't understand the difference between what you do and what everyone else does. All of this falls flat on its face, or it takes way more effort from you. Okay. We don't want that. We want you to be able to have messaging and positioning. We do this through methodology because that just makes it where you're now no longer chasing demand. You're a market of one. Totally changes how business is done. But step two is this piece, right? Having the actual like nurturing conversion system, right? So what happens here is being able to know how to get in front of new people consistently. Okay. I want to be real that you have to be able to get in front of new people consistently. That's how we get eyeballs in your business. But again, it's not just about getting visible. And like I told you about my client, she could generate traffic like a champ. She was amazing at it, but if she couldn't convert them, what was the freaking point? And I say this, I know people who have groups with tens of thousands of people, but they can't convert them. What is the freaking point? It means that they're rock star at visibility and lead gen, but that they haven't mastered how the other pieces work. So once you have that messaging and positioning, you bring in visibility. That means you're getting new eyeballs on your business and you're strategically bringing in the right people. So you're going to see these little things underneath here. Don't worry about it. This is what we do inside my program. But what I want you to understand is your visibility needs to be strategic, not just about being in everyone's face all the time. It's about understanding that when someone meets you, what is our goal to then convert them to a lead and then convert them to a client? Okay, so understanding that when someone new gets introduced to you, there is a pathway by which they now move to the next step. So I can say with complete confidence that when someone meets me, I have mapped out the steps that they take to become a client, which means if someone brand new finds me in my world, I know step by step what steps they will take to become a client. I know how long it will take. I will know like down to the nitty gritty what this will look like, okay? Too many people don't understand this, which means that they are getting in front of new people. Okay. I call this building the pipeline. They're getting in front of new people. Awesome. Those people aren't turning into leads, which means they have a great following. They've built an amazing following. And I don't want to discount that. I don't want to say that that's not an incredible thing. It is. They're really good at building their following, but being able to take that visibility and convert it into leads takes strategy. Okay. So what I'm trying to say to you is, from step one, that messaging and positioning, are you setting the tone so that when they now become this, they start recognizing you, they know they want to become a lead? Or are they coming into your world and saying, hoorah, this person's awesome. They say some great things, but they're not thinking of buying from you from day one. Okay. Drop day one in the chat if this is making sense and you understand that our goal is from day one. When they get introduced to you, they are already thinking about what it's like to work with you. They're already contemplating what the next steps are in working with you. Okay, that is our goal here. If day one, they're not already on the same page as you, that you are an opportunity for them to work with down the line, then we've already started on the wrong foot. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. Most marketing systems out there are literally teaching people to cheer you on. Okay. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to be negative. What I'm saying is most marketing systems are literally focused on getting people to say, oh, this is great. It's not getting people to say, oh, I think I want to buy from this person. This person has something worthwhile that I want to stick around and listen to. Okay, so drop day one. If you understand that our goal in this process is from day one, your messaging and positioning resonates in a way that they're already thinking about, is this the person that I can work with? Because then it means that when new people get introduced to you, they're immediately going down a different pathway. So someone who's not interested, doesn't have high intent, means that if I have the wrong messaging, I have the wrong positioning, and I'm positioning this to myself, to someone who thinks, oh, this sounds good, I'm interested in learning about what this is, but I'm not like in a space where I feel like this is what I want, then my entire process of how people move along is going to look different. So typical marketing funnels, that's what they do. You are literally being taught, I say this as a marketing expert, and I'm sorry to say that this is what we've been taught. We've been taught to market to the 90% of people who do not want to buy. What they want is to dip their toes in the water and say, this is interesting enough. I'm inspired enough to hang out, to listen, to be there. So we're creating parking lot of leads who don't actually want to move forward, okay? They're just there hanging out, cheering you on. Versus when our messaging and positioning is tailored to high intent clients, our visibility strategy looks different because we're no longer trying to say, hey, hang out in my world and just see if I'm worth your time. We're trying to quickly say, hey, come into my world, become a lead, look at what I'm all about, because you're looking to make a decision, okay? The decision-making process of connecting the dots for a high intent client looks different. So again, we go through messaging positioning, we go through creating visibility specifically for high intent clients. We learn how to turn that visibility, sorry guys. We learn how to turn that visibility into people raising their hands. That's lead gen, right? I want people coming to you. Cold outreach and stuff like that is frustrating. And that's not a way that you want to build your business long-term. We want to be able to create lead generation that has traffic driving towards you. So people coming to you. How do we get people raising their hands and having incoming traffic coming to you? That's lead gen, right? So people see you, they go to lead gen, and then a sales system. So this entire process, like, let me be real with you, a lot of people, this process is like a 90-day process for them. It's get on my email list, read some emails. Over time, I'll invite you to a webinar, or I'll put you in my group and I'm doing a live launch, or like there's a lot of different things. This is the marketing system that a lot of people teach, which is a long sales process, okay? When you're speaking to high intent clients, our visibility looks different. It means that someone comes into you day one, you're generating a lead. That means someone comes into my world. I can say with down to complete science that when someone comes into my world, how likely they are to raise their hand, become a lead, and how likely they are to move the next step to say, yes, I want to see how to work with you, okay? This is where all of your opportunity lies in being able to like pull the levers of predictability, okay? We want people coming into your world. You can literally shortcut this from the typical 90 to 180 days into somebody coming into your world. And I'm not kidding you. They become a lead immediately and they become a sales call within 24 to 48 hours. This happens like clockwork for myself and for my clients. Okay. Any questions about this? Understanding that second chunk of the client acquisition process and understanding that's that nurture and conversion. Okay. And one thing that I want to say is, like, you'll see that I talk about bingeable authority sales. If you're new in my world and you don't know about this, I talk a lot about Netflix inspired sales system. Why is it the Netflix inspired sales system? Because I've literally learned from Netflix that just like Netflix leverages their entire process, and they have a whole method behind what they do in getting people who are brand new to a show to all of a sudden becoming a diehard fan in like literally less than 24 hours. If you've ever found a new show and you've binge watched your way through it and said, holy crap, this is the best show ever, and you went from not knowing anything about it to being the diehard fan, you've experienced what I call bingeable authority, okay? We leverage that methodology along with a lot of freaking science behind the psychology of how people make decisions to mimic how people make decisions, leveraging a content system to drive traffic and lead generation into your business, and then leveraging our bingeable authority system to actually convert them. The reason it works so quickly is because it's literally tailored to how people make decisions naturally, mimicking that entire process for them so that saying yes feels effortless. They don't feel like they're being pushed. They don't feel like someone's like pressuring them into something. They feel like, holy crap, this is exactly what I need. Why? Because from day one, we've set the intent and we've created a process that speaks to them and makes them feel like this is exactly where they needed to be all along. So the best thing I've ever experienced for myself and for my clients is that they say, Naz, someone found me yesterday and they're saying that they can't believe that they didn't know about me before. And they said yes on a sales call 24, 48 hours later. Why? How is that freaking possible, right? How is it possible that someone meets you and is like 100% bought in on you in 24 to 48 hours? Because we literally set the intent from day one, from the minute someone gets introduced to you into how they become a client, okay? So drop a 2 if so far all this is making sense to you guys. I'm not just like, I've totally lost you guys. I know I'm giving you a lot of information, so maybe you're taking tons of notes. But that is literally that second piece. So that's where we do nurture and conversion. This is where expediting this can become so incredible in your business, because now with predictability, you know that when you drive traffic, and you can drive traffic from a bunch of different sources, the sources of traffic doesn't matter. It's really the strategy and the method behind what we're doing in driving traffic. And then we're leveraging the nurture and conversion all the way up to results and retention. So I'm going to tell you what drives me freaking crazy in the online world is that when it comes to fulfillment, people just don't pay enough attention to this. Okay. So what they're doing is they're spending all of their time and energy on this piece, which is like the client acquisition, which, let's not lie, I get it. It's really freaking important. Your business can't continue to grow and scale if you don't have a great client acquisition. But here's also the truth. If you are not a rock star of fulfillment and retention, then your business is short-lived. Okay. There's a reason 11 years later, my clients come back to me and they say, I'm still leveraging the same system, because we've not only rocked at the entire client acquisition process, we've also looked at how to retain them. So fulfillment is not about how sexy is my offer. I'm going to rub a lot of people wrong about this, but that irresistible offer, that sexy offer drives me freaking up the wall. Why? Your offer isn't about sexiness. Quote me on that. Your offer is not about sexiness, okay? When you understand and recognize how people make decisions and we can duplicate that, this can be sexy. Does it mean that I need to be like flashy and crazy? No, because guess what? When we've developed methodology, we don't need to be flashy. We don't need to be sexy. People are coming to you because you've identified a gap in the market that makes them go, holy crap, this is what I've always needed, right? I don't need to be amazing and have like top of the line everything. Hell, I don't even do sales pages. I don't have a website that's really that great, right? Why? Because I'm not focused on those things. Those are the flashy things that make you feel like you're doing something, but they're not actually moving people along the way. So when it comes to this, what I want to tell you and why my system is totally revolutionary, I do not sell offers, okay? So if you notice, I rarely, if ever, talk about offers. Why? Because when you have a marketing system is based around how can I sell an offer? So you need multiple funnels, multiple messages, multiple launches if you have multiple offers. I don't know about you, but that is really freaking exhausting. I don't want to do that, okay? Instead, you want to be able to speak to people who are at a high level of intent, want to make a decision, and you could have multiple offers to support them. You are the decision maker, not them. And I know that sounds hard, but it's not. The truth of the matter is you are the expert. Okay. And I see a lot of business owners who do not recognize that they are the expert, which means you are the expert that says, based on what your needs are, here is where you need to go. And I'm not saying people aren't smart. They are. But I also realize that people are not the experts. They are paying you for your expertise to say, where do I need to go? If I present someone with a buffet of 4 different meals and I am told to choose the healthiest, if I'm not a freaking nutritionist, I probably don't know what's the healthiest. Why are you making me make those decisions? Why don't you instead say, based on your goals, based on your body, here's the meal that is best for you to get you the best results. That is your job. Okay, that is your job as the expert. Drop expert if you guys understand me. Again, you may hate this. You may think that I'm crazy for telling you this, but I want you to understand. You are the expert, so you decide where they need to go, which means now your entire marketing system, okay, your entire messaging system, your entire lead generation system, your entire marketing and sales system now gets to be based on your methodology. So your methodology is like at the center of everything, because that's what your messaging looks like. That's how we generate the leads. That's how we get visibility. That's how we create sales. And what happens is your offer is now takes on a different role. It's not about the marketability of the offer. It's about, can my offer fulfill on that result? Which means that I'm going to be real with you. I have people who come on a call with me and they have no clue what my offer is. They just know that my methodology is going to get them a result and that they can understand that, and that whatever I say to them is going to solve for their problem. They are all in on. There's a reason I have an 80 to 100% close rate, is because they are all in on the methodology. The offer is freaking confusing to them. That's that features and benefits. If I'm going to give you 6 months of this and 6 months of that and da 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 da. They don't care. They just want to know that your methodology solves a gap in the market, creates what they need. They're ready to buy it. They're saying yes. And then can you deliver results? So this is where I get really freaking angry in the market, is if your offer cannot deliver a result, then all of this crap does not matter. Go back to square one. Okay. You better have an offer that can fulfill on the promise that you made from day one. If you tell me in your methodology that you're going to be able to do X, Y, Z, I better get to fulfillment, and I better not feel catfish like you can't do X, Y, Z. Okay. I'm sorry. If that pisses you off, my group is not the place for you to be, and you should not hang out, because your offer better be able to deliver on the transformation you promised. So what we do is we leverage what I call one offer framework. One offer framework focuses on developing a framework that can deliver results to your clients, whether you're working one-on-one, in a group, in a membership, however you want to work, it's going to deliver the same result. Because guess what? If you're making a promise of your methodology, right? Your methodology becomes your promise. And you're saying, oh, but I have this and I have that. And they're like, well, which one is it? Which one's going to solve for that? That's confusing. And it's confusing for you. I see so many people create offers, and then 6 months later, they say goodbye to those offers. They're not delivering the results, and their audience is confused. So that's what we do, is we focus on your offering as fulfillment, as retention, as does it get results at scale? Because if you can help one person, awesome. But being able to help 100 people, that takes a whole other freaking strategy. Okay. It requires you to have results mechanisms. That means that your clients can get results in the background of your business. Okay. This is why connecting the dots, that means that I am setting the intent. I am setting the conditioning to my audience from the day that they meet me through my methodology, that they are going to be with me long term. I cannot tell you how many people get on a call with me before I've even pitched them on an offer and say, how can I work with you long term? Why? Because I've literally built that in from day one. They're sold on you. They're 100% in on knowing you are the person that was like their unicorn in the world. Okay. I'm gonna stop screen sharing because I just gave you guys tons of information. Do you guys have questions about understanding how those dots have to be working together in order to deliver the result? Okay. This is why I'm so freaking passionate, and why I don't talk about one singular piece of the puzzle, because one singular piece of the puzzle may make you feel good for a short period of time. I could teach you how to generate leads tomorrow. Awesome. But if those leads come in and we don't have the entire process that allows them to become clients, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be annoyed that that piece of the puzzle was great, but it didn't get where I need to be. Okay. We need every single piece to work together. And you need to understand that day one, that very first introduction someone gets to your messaging and your positioning sets the tone for them saying yes long-term. Okay. Any questions about anything so far? Drop yes or no in the comments so I know I haven't totally lost you with all this amazing information I'm throwing at you. So this is why I'm so freaking passionate about my Easy Yes method. What I just showed you on my screen is essentially what I take my clients through, right? We literally do every single piece of that puzzle that you just saw there. Why? I don't care if you've been in business for 2 years or 18, 20 years, which are clients I've worked with. If you're scaling to your first 6 figures or you're scaling to 7, 8 figures, again, it comes down to having the cohesive strategy start to finish that is scalable and sustainable. So what we do in the Easy Yes method is essentially what I showed you there. We develop that methodology first and foremost. That is your messaging and positioning. We create a messaging and positioning system so that you know how to show up in the world on a daily basis in order to get people raising their hands and attracting those high intent clients. High intent clients being the key word. Okay. If you've ever run live launches and you're like, oh, I got 500 people to come to my live launch, but you know, and I know that you're converting a tiny itty bitty piece of that percentage, it's frustrating, right? You're marketing to the 90% to get a small itty bitty percentage. Now, if I told you that understanding high intent clients means that you're attracting people who want to make decisions quickly, it requires a different freaking strategy. It's different. So we build the methodology that allows you to position yourself to high intent clients who want to say yes. It allows you to showcase what you do, how you solve for a gap in the market. And if you're sitting there saying, Naz, I don't know what's proprietary about me, don't worry, I help you do that, right? We develop that proprietary methodology together. This allows you to create demand, have people who are coming to you saying, hey, you're the person who does this. I know that I need to come to you because you've created a demand based on what you do. Okay. That means we're not shouting the loudest. We're not trying to be everywhere and anywhere because that's how marketing works. We are now creating that demand. That is step one. That is what I call innovative authority. Step two is understanding how to generate leads, nurture them, and convert them, right? Knowing how we leverage that methodology as part of our content strategy. So my clients use what I call a one-touch content system, which is 5 pieces of content a week, as little as 3 up to 5 pieces of content that is literally meant to mimic how people make decisions. So you have an evergreen system to bring people into your world and quickly get them to raising their hands and saying yes. And then we leverage my Netflix inspired sales system to actually create those conversions on the back end of your business. So that's the difference between pre-qualifying leads and pre-selling leads. If you want to get on a call with someone who's sitting there saying, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need, how much is it to work with you? That's pre-sold. Pre-qualifying is knowing that they have the ability to buy yours, but it doesn't mean that they're actually wanting to buy it. So we create, it's a pre-sold selling system, which means your people are coming in, they're doing the work on the back end, and they're sending you a DM saying, hey, how can I work with you? What does it look like to work with you? How can I jump on a call? And they're already ready to say yes. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3 is that fulfillment and retention, right? Looking at your offerings from the standpoint of, are they scalable? So if you've developed an awesome offer that you're working with your clients one-on-one, done for you, even in a group program, and you're like, Naz, this is it. I love this offer. It's doing incredible things. Then that means that you're ready to scale it. And it's like, how can we look at that offer so it's delivering the same results at scale? And how can we leverage a retention strategy so that you're not working so hard? Your clients that are getting amazing results are sharing your message with others. They're repeating that message to others because they love what you're doing, and then you're retaining them long-term, okay? That is the easy yes method. That is what I'm all about. So if you're sitting here, you're shaking your head and you're like, oh my gosh, this all makes so much sense. Where have I been? Why do I not need a handyman anymore? And you want to get on a business diagnostic call, we're going to go through your client acquisition system, and I'm going to show you where the opportunities are. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how I work with my clients using this method and what that looks like that I would work with you. Okay. If you want to learn more about how this works, drop easy yes. And either myself or Julia will reach out to you and book a business diagnostic call. If you haven't learned this about me, I'm not a high pressure salesman, but I'm going to show you where the opportunities are, and you're going to get to go through my sales system yourself so you can see what it looks like and why it's so powerful. If you want to shoot me a DM and say easy yes, or hey, I want to book a call, that's okay as well. I know sometimes we want to do that. But I want you guys to understand that looking at client acquisition means that we're looking at things from a holistic standpoint. We're understanding that one piece leads to the next piece, okay? And without having the synergy and the strategy for all those pieces to link together, you are working 4 times as hard as you need to, okay? So if you guys have any questions about anything I shared so far, I shared so much with you today. I apologize. I know that's a lot. Go ahead and send me a message. If you have questions, drop them here. If you want to book a call, again, drop easy yes. We will reach out to you, or shoot me a DM, and we will do the same thing. We will go through your system. We'll look for those opportunities. And like I said, my clients are able to rapidly grow their business and sustain that growth because we're building it based on what you do inherently well, where your opportunities are. And then we leverage building a synergy within your systems so that those pieces work long-term. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this training, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today live. And I hope you guys have an amazing day.